Birchbox, The Honest Company, Tory Burch, and many, many more. He advised over 300 large enterprises and marketing agencies and helped in building their testing programs through ideation training, UX audits, Google Analytics, and program management support. And now he leads our entire XO team here to do the exact same. So we're just going to walk you through a quick summary of what this webinar is going to look like today. We'll start with a little intro on ad shoppers, and then we'll go into VBXL and Shopify Plus. We'll start with Kitav giving you 5 examples of conversion, and then ad shoppers doing the same with their 5. And then at the very end, we'll wrap it up with some Q&A. So like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them in as we're going, and we'll get to those at the very end. So a little bit about ad shoppers here. Ad shoppers help e-commerce leaders deliver engaging shopping experiences faster. Their suite of unified applications increases client average revenue per visit by seamlessly turning browsers into buyers and buyers into those influencers. Ad shoppers seeks to provide marketing agility to all of their clients, helping them effectively implement campaigns, measure their impact, and continuously and incrementally improving their results as quickly as possible. All of this saves all of their clients time and increases their revenue. As you can see here on this slide, they've worked with numerous impressive brands, including Hanes, Everlast, O'Neill, and many more. And I'll give you a little background on VBXL as well. VBXL, we are a full-service e-commerce agency that focuses on Shopify Plus and Optimizely platforms. We've been around for about 3 years and have worked with some of the largest names on Shopify Plus. This includes Red Bull, P&G, Movement Watches, Hallmark, The Giving Keys, Kopari, and many others. We are the only Shopify Plus partner that is also a 3-star partner with Optimizely. What that means is that we really understand the UX changes and best practices we implement and how they affect revenue per visitor. We also work with all of our clients across the entire e-commerce funnel. That includes user acquisition, conversion rate optimization, and retention strategies. Since we're in a position to really guide our clients, we are very data-driven, and we make sure we can tie an ROI to our recommendations and our clients' investment. And then a little bit about Shopify Plus and how that all ties in here. VBXL, we've built our whole business around specializing on the Shopify Plus platform. And we've done so for a number of reasons. And we spoke about this yesterday, so like I said, the recording will be available after this if you're interested in that. Shopify Plus has numerous merchants with over 275,000 merchants of all sizes on the platform. They have a large and growing developer community, which makes it very unique. The Shopify Plus team is very focused on building out an enterprise version for more sophisticated and high-volume merchants. And these features include being fully hosted, having unlimited bandwidth, 0% transaction fees, 99.99% server uptime. It's very white glove. It's dedicated account management. You have more control over your checkout, which will look and feel. More available APIs, including the discount and the gift card. And they're currently running a migration from Magento Offer. So if you're curious about that, please contact us or ask Shopify Plus about that offer. The platform itself is very robust and offers a ton of flexibility, and with a high price point that usually, and without the high price point, sorry, that usually comes with enterprise applications of these other platforms. The flexibility of the platform allows our XO team to implement winning conversion strategies. And with that, we say that experience optimization is growth marketing strategies developed with the interaction of experience and conversion rate optimization. Kitav will walk us through 5 considerations to accelerate conversions based on better awareness of the full customer cycle from acquisition to conversion and retention. So off to you, Kitav.
Thank you, Nikki. So to start off, you may have not heard of that acronym XO before, but we branded our services for Experience Optimization XO. And to be honest, when we did that internally in the office, there were some giggles around the office around that representing hugs and kisses. But that's exactly what you should think about when you are engaging with your customers, because when you invite someone on your website to nurture them down a sales funnel and actually encourage them to take action to buy something, you're developing a relationship. And with any relationship that you have in your life, familial, friendship, or romantic, It's all about managing expectations and communication. So that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. So to start off, we want to think about how you really sell your business through the shopping funnel beyond just your product. Once someone has gone through a sales funnel, they've already communicated that they're very invested in this experience and in your product, so they have a good awareness about what you're offering. But beyond that, how do you aim to complement the specific product? Is it going to be through a specific service like a satisfaction guarantee, how easy it is to return the product if they're not satisfied, or free shipping? So as you really get invested users down the funnel, it's important on these product detail pages to really emphasize these core value propositions at that point of conversion to add to cart. And here we have an example of one of our leading customers at BBXL, Movement Watches. They've grown exceptionally well over the last couple of years, and we have continue to do experience optimization work with them. And this is the current iteration of their product detail page where they're featuring a lot of these core value propositions adjacent to their add to cart. Okay. Next, once you have a user who's very invested down a sales funnel and is considering if they're going to take action on the add to cart, beyond just the complementary service messaging around the value proposition that we just spoke about, it's important to start building urgency about why they should take action. And oftentimes, it takes users multiple sessions to convert on a specific purchase. The e-commerce average is somewhere between 2.5 to 3.5 sessions per visitor before they actually convert on a purchase. So thinking about every moment in interaction that you have on a product detail page as potentially your last, because you don't necessarily know if the person is going to come back. So building urgency around why they should take action now is really important. And what we have as our first example is from Dot & Bow, featuring how many specific products are left in this specific product line. So selecting your color palette, your quantity, and having full awareness of how many specific pieces of furniture are left in their inventory to drive that urgency. A second example is another customer of BBXL, Boll & Branch, and they're starting to differentiate themselves along the sales funnel by communicating a lot of the mission-driven and also quality and luxurious brand identity that they are communicating. But once you get to the product detail page, we are currently running an experiment on Optimizely where we're featuring different specific messaging adjacent to the call to action for adding to cart. And that is highlighted here next to this shipping parcel icon, where we're identifying those core value props like we spoke about a few moments ago, but also driving urgency by convincing the user to take action today so that their product can ship potentially in the same day or the next day. And we have multiple variations of this running where there's a current iteration as the one you're seeing currently on your screen, as well as one that has a countdown timer for how much time they have to actually take advantage of shipping that same day. Next, when we think about building that relationship with your customers and building familiarity, it's all about trust. So building social proof throughout your user experience is really important. And a number of ways that that our customers take advantage of that is bringing in qualified referral traffic from social media. And to really take that to the next level, it's important to think about ways to leverage whatever you're doing on social media through apps that integrate already with Shopify. So an example of one app that our customers have had success with is 460 to make Instagram more shoppable. On our next slide, we have an example of driving social proof on the product detail page itself. So one of our customers, Grenco Science, is leveraging a platform like Yotpo to really drive the awareness around customer satisfaction, and that's important to really hit home how much trust that someone should have in your product and your customer service. Point number 4 is ensuring that you have an effective collections page. Many customers may be coming directly to your website, to your homepage, or if you're having specific campaigns to product, So there's that gray area of a collections page or category page that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle of optimization. But it's really important to think about the user path and how a user is leveraging a collections page to really, one, discover information around specific products, and two, get to the product that's most relevant to them as quickly as possible. So when you think about redesigning your collection page or running optimization campaigns, the key success metric of an effective collections page is not how many pages per session you drive or how many product detail pages you drive, but it should actually be your add to cart conversion rate as well as your checkout conversion rate, because the experience of moving back and forth between a product detail page and a collections page, if there's not enough information for the user to interact with on the collections page, is very frustrating, introduces a lot of friction to the experience, and promotes balance. So the recommendation is to really expose as much detail as you can on a collections page and allow a user to really make a decision about where they want to go on your site based on that. So our example on this point is one of our customers, Kopare Beauty. And they have a limited product line, only about 5 or 6 products, but they're trying to communicate in their collections page as much information about each product, how it's differentiated from the other product line, and how they can potentially take advantage of the full suite of offerings through a bundle offering. So leveraging this type of experience optimally through a hover state if you're on desktop and swipeable interaction through mobile is the best way to really drive discovery without having a user go back and forth between product detail and collections page. And the 5th point is really getting back to that point about managing expectations, and the best way to do that is to leverage whatever information you already know about your users. So fundamentally, if they're a brand new user versus someone who has had some contact about your product offering and is returning, there are different things that you really want to emphasize in terms of your real success metric for that type of user. Oftentimes, people who run e-commerce shops are really focused on end conversion goals, these macro goals like add to cart and purchase conversion. Those will not go away, and that fundamentally is core to your business. But when you think about segmenting audiences and how valuable you can start developing relationships with your customers to really extend their lifetime value, it's really important to start thinking about what they know about your customers and how you can start leveraging that information to provide a better experience. Okay. Yeah, just checking an audio check. If you have any issues with audio, please type into the chat box. So continuing, really differentiating about user expectations between you and returning users. The focus of an experience for a new user should really be about them learning about your brand and how they can start trusting you through social proof, through customer service. And at the end of it, of course, you would want them to drive forward and convert on a product purchase, but the ideal endpoint for a brand new user and the KPI that you should be judging success for a new user should be on email capture, because that's a great way to stay connected with your users and drive that nurture relationship that will hopefully bring them back to their back to your website and convert at a later session. Because as we mentioned before, it takes multiple sessions for a user to be convinced to often convert on a purchase. And when you think about the prospect of returning users, it's all about getting them to the product that either they viewed specifically or into more detailed product discovery so that they can get to a product detail page that's most relevant to them as soon as possible. So yeah, just seeing on your screen an example of pop-up on one of our customers, the giving keys for email capture, really targeted to brand new users and communicating what they can take advantage of. And what you have on your screen right now is, again, movement watches using an ad campaign for returning users to really drive urgency. So they know that a user has seen their site, has potentially abandoned their cart, and they're giving them a very specific promotion that will hopefully drive that end conversion event sooner rather than later. So that was a summary of 5 core considerations that you should think about when driving an optimized experience to drive conversions. I'll pass it over now to Peter to explore an initial slide.
Awesome. Thanks, Kitab. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up, and I have 5 additional ways and examples and things that you can do to increase the performance of your e-commerce store, focusing primarily around 3 things. So 1 is going to be increasing conversions. 2 is going to be increasing the amount of email subscribers that you capture, and 3 is going to be increasing the amount of social sharing that happens. Now, to make an important kind of distinction between the 2 sort of presentations here, what Kitab covered today is more of a kind of, I guess, the nuts and bolts or the bones of your e-commerce store, so things that are more tightly integrated to your actual, the core of your e-commerce experience. And the things that I'm going to cover are going to be more campaign-based things that you can layer on top of your e-commerce store. So, your Shopify Plus store, in this example, to really drive up the performance of some of these KPIs that we'll cover. So hopefully that helps frame some of the things that I'll be covering. And with that said, let me go ahead and jump into into way number 6 here. So this is going to be post-purchase social rewards. So one of the biggest missed opportunities that we see among clients that are first starting with us is not leveraging social sharing on the checkout success page. So if you think about it, once somebody has completed their purchase, they're on the checkout success page, they're at basically their highest level of engagement that they're going to be at with your brand, because they're really excited. They found a product or a bunch of products that they really love, and now is the perfect time to tell their friends about it or tell somebody about it. So why not integrate an incentive to get your customers to actually go ahead and share out on that checkout success page? And this is exactly what post-purchase social rewards does. So imagine this is the checkout success page, and you pop up a modal that looks something like this, where it's prompting you, the end user, the customer, to share out. And as you can see here, with the red tag, you're offered the chance to save $5 off when you share out. So in this example, on Facebook. So this is what post-purchase social rewards looks like. And so, like I mentioned, this is a really good opportunity to drive more sharing. To give you guys a statistic, around 30% of sharing doesn't actually happen until someone makes a purchase, which is why post-purchase social rewards is so ideal for capturing those extra shares. A couple other benefits that are worth talking about. So number 1 here is going to be increasing social proof. So let's talk a little bit about why that'll work and how that happens. So if you think about it, getting somebody to share out their purchase is a much better indicator of trust than getting somebody to just share out something like a brand message or a product or something like that. If I'm sharing out a purchase, I'm signaling in one way or another to my friends and my social circle that this is a brand, a company, a website that I trust to do business with. So it gets that trust factor across, which is really powerful. The second thing this is going to help do is increase loyalty and repeat purchases. So by offering a discount for sharing out that you can redeem on your next purchase, now you're moving from, especially if this is a first-time customer, from a one-time customer to now becoming a repeat customer and hopefully a loyal lifetime customer. So it's a great way to kickstart that process. And then thirdly is going to be to drive high-converting traffic back to the store. So if you go back to point number 1 about social proof and the trust factor, the traffic that clicks on those purchase shared links out to channels like Facebook and Twitter and people's social channels, we see that converting really well because, like I mentioned, there's so much trust inherent with that. So that's post-purchase social rewards, and hopefully I've explained well why that's a really good one to look into. So that's going to be primarily for increasing sharing and conversions. Next up is going to be using social login to power personalization. So this one's a little bit more subtle, but it's going to tie back into some of the points that Kitab was making about removing friction and making the checkout process as frictionless and seamless as possible. So in this example from one of our clients here actually, you'll see on their login page or their login modal, they have these options to sign in with many different social networks here at the bottom. So what this does that is important is it makes it a lot easier to check out, especially when you're on a mobile device, because keyboards are a pain to use, especially on mobile. I think everybody here much prefers typing on a computer or a desktop versus a mobile device like a smartphone. With a social login button, you don't have to do that at all. You just type on one button, or you just click or tap on one button, and you're logged into the account. So a couple main benefits here that are worth going over. So number one is going to be back on the data side of things. So what this says here is it's more valuable and more accurate CRM data. So let's take that apart. So the more valuable data that we can collect from social login comes directly from the social networks like Facebook, for example. So we can pull things with social login like first name, last name, birthday, profile picture, and things like that, for example, that you can use for personalized marketing campaigns down the line. The second piece of that was more accurate data. So because this data comes directly from the social networks based on what you've filled out, people are more likely to have their real email address tied to their Facebook account than, typing in a fake, disposable email that they may do during checkout or while filling out another offer on your site. So using social login gets around that issue, and it's really easier for both parties, both you and the customer. Number two is going to be around increased conversion rate. So I went over this one already, but basically by removing the friction and making it a lot easier to log into your account when you're making a purchase, you'll see conversion rates go up. And again, this is much more pronounced on mobile devices, which is very, very often one of the biggest opportunities for increasing conversions out there. So a really powerful point there. And then next, the last point here is going to be around growing your email list faster. So if you replace some of the modals or add in addition to some of the email capture that you do, so you may be running, enter your email to get 10% off your first order, for example. If you add in an option to log in with Facebook to redeem that offer instead, or in addition to that, then again, especially on mobile, it's much easier to fill out, and you'll capture the email address just the same. So you'll see higher conversions on your email captures, which grows your list faster. Next up is going to be personalized behavioral targeting offers. So here I'm kind of picking up where the last point left off. So social login was all about capturing more data that we can use for personalization. This is how we actually take that data and put it to use. So it's not, wasted data filling up your, your CRM database somewhere. So I'm going to pull up two examples of modals or campaigns that you may see, running on a site. So think about which one looks more interesting to you. So this is a generic welcome modal. Many of you guys are probably running something similar. You may have an email capture, to get this offer. You may not, but it's basically welcome, you'll get a discount on your first purchase, and then a call to action. Modal number two uses personalized data that we were able to capture with social login, for example. And in this example, we're picking up the fact that it's this person's birthday, and we're giving them a personalized offer, and we're mentioning their name and putting their profile photo in this modal. Now, this may be a little extreme, but which one looks more compelling to you and more likely to be something that you'll fill out or complete the offer? I think most of us, it's going to be number two because it's way more personalized and targeted towards us. So this is why these kind of personalized behavioral targeting campaigns can be so powerful. So obviously the main thing here is going to be conversion rates. So I can give you guys some data from across our platform. So when comparing offers like this that have the personalization compared to more of the generic offers, we've seen up to 600% increases in email captures and 16% increases in driving immediate sales and revenue, and that's from changing nothing other than adding in some personalization. So it's really powerful for increasing and maximizing your conversion rates. The second thing is it's It's better for your customer experience. So, more and more as customers and people and us really are used to a better, more personalized and relevant shopping experience, this is the data that's going to help fuel that and provide that better experience for your customers. And then lastly, I touched on this one a couple minutes ago, but this is how you put all the data that you're collecting with things like social login or other forms, actually take that data and put it to work. So next up is going to be running social contests that drive revenue. So this is a really great way to engage your audience, and I'm going to walk you through a really effective way of running these social contests that we've had a lot of success with. So it's usually a 3-step process. So step 1 involves getting your traffic to enter, to see the giveaway that you're doing, be aware of it, and drive them to the landing page where we have it set up. So when you're running some kind of a social giveaway, in this example, it's if you look at the bottom of the screen here, you can see it. It's win your wish list up to $1,000. So that's the way the giveaway was set up. So what we want to do in step 1 is generate as much awareness as we can around that giveaway and drive them to the landing page where they can register. So this is where you'll capture the leads. And so step 1 is always a lead capture here. You'll notice there's the social login options to make it really easy, or just fill out the traditional first name, last name, and email form. And then once somebody's registered, now the social piece kicks in to add virality to the giveaway. So once someone's entered the giveaway, now the next step is to share out, whereas every share counts as an additional entry to the giveaway, so you're incentivized to share out. And the way this specific one was set up is the way you populated your wish list for the giveaway was by sharing products. So every product you shared, you would win, if you were chosen, up to $1,000 in total value. So this is a really strong way of increasing traffic as well as awareness and capturing more leads. So to give you guys some numbers and some data behind kind of what I'm mentioning here. So I mentioned it's a really good way to increase sharing. That the giveaway that we looked at actually saw over a 4,000% increase in sharing, and while they're not always all such a dramatic increase in sharing, they're all usually fairly close to that. We've almost always seen an increase in sharing, well over a couple 100%. The second thing, so around capturing more email addresses, but with contests like this, we have seen email captures increase by 225%. So if you think about it, while running this giveaway, you'll capture more than double the amount of email addresses than you would otherwise. And then lastly, like I mentioned, this is really good for increasing brand awareness and engaging your audience and staying top of mind. So if they haven't heard from you in a while, it's a great excuse to get in touch with your customers again and get them back to your store, where many of them, after entering, will stick around to shop. So last up, so tip number 10 here is going to be mobile behavioral targeting. So one of the things that's maybe perhaps all too familiar with many of you guys is the difference in conversion rates between mobile devices and desktops, especially smartphones. With mobile behavioral targeting, we can target people that are on their mobile devices and abandoning the store and serve up offers to those people at the point of abandonment. So this is something that we've been able to do for a while with traditional behavioral targeting on desktop, but only recently has it been available on mobile. So let me show you guys how this works. I'm going to let this animation play. If you can't see it or if your screen's a little laggy, don't worry, I have the images on the next slide, but the way this works is when someone's browsing their shopping cart and they go to leave either by swiping left or hitting the back button, we pop up this offer to get free shipping. Just enter your email to get it. So that's how this one works. If you're used to some of the more traditional abandonment targeting on desktop where you use mouse tracking to serve up an offer before someone leaves, that's exactly the thing that I mentioned that we haven't been able to do on mobile until now. So this is the way that we can replicate that same, proven model that works really well on desktops now on our mobile devices like smartphones. So if you missed the animation on the last slide, here it is, slowed down a little bit with just images here and graphics. So step one is you're in the shopping cart here, and let's say you press the back button to leave, or maybe you even close out the tab itself. Step two here is going to be to show this wait before you go, can we tempt you with free shipping modal. And so if you enter your email and click this activate free shipping button, the next screen here gives you the coupon code for free shipping that you can use on checkout. So that's how the mobile behavioral targeting works. So why do this? Why is this a good idea? I think it's probably obvious to just about everybody here, but just in case, the number one thing here is going to be around increasing conversions and revenue on the devices where you routinely see the lowest conversion rates, which for just about everybody across the board is smartphones and tablets. You're also going to help grow your list faster because remember, we're capturing emails here. You don't have to offer an email capture if you don't want to, but it's definitely a great way to grow your list faster. And lastly, this may seem a little, maybe a little bit more abstract, but staying ahead of your competition, if that's something that's important to you, this is one of the things that almost nobody is doing right now, but everybody is probably going to be doing it in 3, 4, 5 years. So if you jump on something like this early, you'll stay way ahead of the curve, and you'll beat everybody to the punch on really maximizing your mobile and smartphone traffic. And so that's everything I have. I will go ahead and pass it back here to Nikki.
Thank you, Peter. So this concludes our presentation, but we'll take a couple of minutes here to answer any Q&A that you might have. We've gotten a few questions in already, but if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat section or the question section, and we will get to that up here. So let's just jump into the couple of questions that we've already gotten in. The first one is to Katab here. You recommend building a sense of urgency around the decision to add to cart. Have you noticed if clients who use a countdown timer see higher conversion rates at checkouts because of this versus clients who don't?
There's no clear answer for how a countdown timer will perform on one side versus another. It's really about demographics. So, for example, the demographics on Boll and Branch, where we were promoting earlier that we're currently running an experiment, their demographics skew a little bit older, so then potential urgency around that may react differently for different types of audience segments. So think about who you're really targeting and if they are going to be responsive to something like that right away. But the best way to really complement any kind of urgency or countdown timer is to really deliver immediate value to the customer. So what are they going to get? Are they going to get a discount? Are they going to ensure that the product doesn't sell out? Are they going to ensure that the item ships by a certain time? So be sure to communicate very clearly what value they will immediately receive.
Great. Thank you for that, Katab. Here's another question. To increase personalization, can I have people coming from different social networks see different offers?
Absolutely. So the only thing that's a little bit tricky is price testing. So you don't want to fall into that trap of charging different prices for the same product for different types of segments of users. So that is not allowed. But as far as targeting specific landing pages or specific promotions from someone coming from Instagram versus Facebook is certainly something that you can do at a very lightweight version of personalization. It does not have to be an always-on experience. That can be a test that you run for a platform like Optimizely or in a full-fledged personalization campaign.
Awesome, great. Peter, do you have anything to add to that, or did that basically cover it from Katab as well?
Yeah, I think that's basically it. Only thing I would add, and this is a good question. This is actually one of the things that we fairly often work on with our clients. But this is definitely something that you can do. It's definitely something that we recommend. And that's, I guess it goes back to the whole personalization piece. So even if the only thing you know about someone is the social network they came from, it's still better than serving up something that's more generic. So if nothing else, it's a good way of just making the your offers and your messaging more engaging, and more often than not, actually, we'll see slightly higher conversion rates with these more personalized offers here. So definitely recommend doing something like that.
Awesome, that's great. I guess that'll lead into one of the following questions to Peter, which both of you would probably be able to answer this. So Peter, why don't you go first? Do you think personalization freaks people out?
Yeah, so we get this question all the time, and the obvious kind of caveat here is it definitely depends on the audience. Usually the younger demographics that are used to seeing this kind of thing, it works a little bit better for them. Sometimes some of maybe the demographics that are skewed towards the older age ranges doesn't take off quite as well, but you would be surprised how well people usually are, or how receptive they are to it, I guess. We've worked with some people that were really, really hesitant about using personalization, and then they just tried it, and I guess they were a little bit like, the fear about it was really the only thing. Once they tried it, they thought people were going to just completely freak out and flood their customer support staff, but that didn't really happen, and it ended up going really well. So it can, for sure, and it's worth testing out before you roll it out fully, but we haven't seen it like freak people out as much as you might think.
Great. And then Opti, what do you think about that? And I know Optimizely also has personalization that they offer, and not even just using personalization. Do you think that that would be something that freaks people out, or have you seen that in the past with clients that you've worked with?
In my experience, the most powerful way to use personalization is on customers who you have an existing relationship with. The best way to freak someone out is if they're brand new to your site and then you are already targeting them with specific types of products that, based on other websites that they've been, or other kind of indicators of how you know who they are. But if they've already potentially gone through your sales funnel, if they've added something to the cart and they come back and you promote an abandoned cart kind of module, or you tell them, give them a notification to really drive nurturing about why they should come back to your site, that is generally received much more easily and drives more specific influence on conversion than someone targeting a personalization campaign to a brand new user.
Great. Top, here's actually another question for you. Would you say that collection pages generate a higher cart order value?
Oftentimes, when you want to think about the effectiveness of a collections page, it's not really to drive average order value. That is really accomplished later in the funnel through an effective product detail page and how you really surface related products and go through the strategy of upselling and cross-selling. So I would say that collections pages don't really generate higher cart value. They generate more orders. They generate more purchases because, as I mentioned, an effective collections page allows the user to identify which product is most relevant to their needs as soon as possible. So through the leveraging of expanding detail modules through hover state, if they can learn a lot through basically a quick shop type of experience without having to load multiple product detail pages, they're much more likely to do an end conversion. Whereas once they've already decided to add something to the cart and you then promote a related product or cross-sell something once they have added to cart or before they continue through the checkout, that's a perfect way to really drive average order value.
Awesome. Peter, it looks like we actually have another question for you. For social login, do you suggest completely eliminating the traditional login?
So with when talking about the more core part of your checkout or account logins, we definitely don't recommend completely eliminating traditional login. So, if you click to the login or create an account or my account page on your site where you have to log into your account, we always recommend keeping both the traditional login and then adding social login to it. The only time when you may want to completely eliminate a traditional login would be if maybe you're using modals on the site to welcome people to the site and maybe give away some kind of an offer or an incentive, and you're targeting those towards specific networks. So for example, to kind of talk about the personalization thing again, if you notice somebody's coming, all traffic coming from Facebook, and then you want to serve up a modal that says, welcome from Facebook, get 10% off your first order. In that case, it can actually be a really good thing to offer nothing but a login with Facebook button to get that offer. But yeah, that's basically the only kind of instance where we'd recommend completely removing a traditional login or email capture. Pretty much every other instance you'd want to offer both.
Great. And it looks like this is the last question unless another one comes through. And it's actually for the both of you. Somebody asked, I have a Magento site. Will these strategies still work?
Much of what we've covered today is general best practice when you think about nurturing a customer down a sales funnel. But when you think about making a website that's really agile and allowing you to do very focused and ambitious testing and experimentation, the best complement that we've seen to optimize the other testing platforms has been Shopify. So think about that when you make a decision about which platform will take you into the next phase of growth for your company.
Great. And Peter, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would pretty much just agree with everything Kitab said. Yeah, everything that I covered pretty much can apply to any kind of, no matter what platform you're on. So, yeah, everything should work on any platform.
Great. All right. Well, it looks like that's going to wrap up our Q&A. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this 2-day webinar mini-series. We've had a great time. We've all learned some great things. The webinars will both be available by shortly here, and you should receive an email, so check your inbox for that. If you want to get a hold of Kitab or Peter, here are their emails on the screen, and also if you'd like a live demo, there's a link here at adshoppers.com/live-demo that you can go to and get a free demo with them. Thank you all so much, and we've had a great time, and please let us know if you have any questions.